All right, let's get right into it. Welcome to The Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled to have you here today. We are jumping straight into a massive update from the medical world, a major new trial approval that carries some serious weight for both the pharmaceutical industry and, more importantly, patient care. Our goal today is to really unpack this development and figure out exactly what is happening inside this Milestone partnership. So, what does this milestone actually mean for the future of medicine? We see these types of announcements all the time, right? But when a major pharmaceutical company and a massive medical council announce a breakthrough step together, we really want to look beyond just the immediate headline. We're going to explore the context of this announcement piece by piece and figure out why it matters so much for patients and the industry moving forward. Okay, here is the source headline in its entirety. Zydus gets approval to advance Desidustat in late-stage sickle cell trial with ICMR. I know, that's a mouthful, right? It's packed with dense medical jargon, but this isn't just a standard run-of-the-mill regulatory update. It's a critical pivot point for a very specific treatment. To truly grasp why this late-stage trial is such a potential game changer, we need to isolate the key variables driving this whole thing forward. Let's peel it back, layer by layer. Okay, let's dive right into this. Variable 1. The target. That brings us straight to the core of the issue, which is sickle cell disease. This is the specific medical condition that serves as the primary target for this entire clinical trial. As you likely know, sickle cell is a severe inherited blood disorder. It literally alters the shape of red blood cells, causing intense pain, chronic anemia, and some really dangerous potential organ damage. Basically, everything else we are going to discuss today, the companies, the approvals, the timelines, it all revolves entirely around advancing care for patients battling this debilitating condition. Moving right along to variable number 2, the treatment. The actual solution in question here is called Desidustat. This is the specific pharmaceutical drug developed by Zydus that has just received the green light to advance. Desidustat is an oral treatment. Technically, it's a hypoxia-inducible factor prolyl hydroxylase inhibitor, or HIF-PHI for short, and it's designed to essentially stimulate the body's natural response to anemia. In the context of this news, it is the primary medical intervention being evaluated to manage those severe complications we just talked about with sickle cell. So the crucial point here is how these actors actually relate to one another. You've got Zydus acting as the corporate pharmaceutical driver, right? And Desidustat is their primary therapeutic tool. The action binding them together in this headline is that Zydus gets approval to advance. That is a critical regulatory hurdle cleared. It moves this targeted treatment one huge step closer to the patients who desperately need new therapeutic options. But here's the thing. To push a complex medical treatment like this forward, you rarely do it alone. That brings us to variable 3, the partnership. The partner organization mentioned here is the ICMR, which stands for the Indian Council of Medical Research. This is the apex body in India for the formulation, coordination, and promotion of biomedical research. Having the ICMR involved as the key collaborative force, that provides immense institutional weight and rigorous scientific validation to the trial. It suddenly makes this far more than just a solo corporate venture. And this brilliantly illustrates the dual nature of this milestone. On one side, we have Zydus driving the pharmaceutical innovation and the corporate development. On the other side, you've got them synergizing with the ICMR's expansive, incredibly thorough medical research infrastructure. It literally takes both of these engines running perfectly in sync to move a complex drug trial of this magnitude forward. Which brings us to the final variable, number 4, the timeline. This reveals exactly how close this drug is to potentially reaching the real world. To really understand the significance of this update, you have to look at the standard progression of clinical trials. It's like a giant funnel. You start with early trials, which are all about basic safety and dosing. Then, if you survive that, you move to mid-stage trials to expand the scope and test efficacy. This update specifically highlights that Desidustat just received approval for a late-stage trial. By anchoring this progression, you can see just how many rigorous, incredibly difficult clinical hurdles Zydus and the ICMR have already cleared. Now, what's really interesting about this is that getting approval for this specific late-stage progression is the true beating heart of this milestone. It signifies that the drug is way out of its preliminary phases. It's survived those rigorous early filters that typically knock out thousands of other potential treatments. Entering a late-stage trial means these partners are now gathering the final, large-scale efficacy and safety data that is strictly required before a drug can be authorized for the broader public. So, bringing all these key puzzle pieces back together, we have Zydus and the Indian Council of Medical Research actively advancing Desidustat through its final testing phases. They secured that crucial trial approval, moving the therapy into late-stage progression, all with the unified goal of targeting and managing sickle cell disease. It is a wonderfully cohesive, highly targeted strategy for medical advancement. Which leaves us with this final, vital question. With this lead-stage approval officially secured, how soon could this Zydus ICMR partnership genuinely change the landscape for sickle cell treatment? Obviously, while this approval is a massive step, the story of Desidustat is far from over. Actually, it's officially in the critical final laps of its testing phase. I highly encourage you to keep your eyes peeled for the results of this late-stage trial in the coming months, because now you have the exact framework to follow its progress and you know exactly what's at stake. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and keep learning.